Hey everyone, I am so excited to be tuning in from beautiful Palm Beach Gardens today. I'm going live soon with Shalia Roberts, who is an epic, badass femme captain who I met through Burners Without Borders. And we are going to be talking today about some sailing, some femme captain badassery, and some ways to get for so long. So, let's see, going live. Hopefully this should pop in her feed. We were just having trouble with this, so I'm really hoping that it will go on. Hey, hello everyone. It's really great to see you all. As you all know, I'm moving towards a sailing life, and it is actually a lot, uh, it's just presenting a lot of challenges in shifting my whole lifestyle and finding the boat that we really want. So we are, my partner, as I said this, uh, my partner and I are flowing with it. So anyways, Tatiana, it's really good to see you here too. And DJ, it's nice. But so yeah, so a lot has been flowing in my life, and I've been making a lot of veils down here. Just put a whole bunch new up on my web shop. Um, Getting ready to leave for 3 weeks to Texas to perform at the Texas Eclipse Festival, which is really cool. And yeah, the highlight of it is to go sailing with Shalia, because Shalia is in Galveston, Texas, and has a sailboat called Nirvana. Uh, and I'll get to be living aboard it with my partner Lane. That'll be really exciting. So, Shalia, if you can hear me, I invited you. So see if you can go live from here. See? So, uh, so yeah. So sailing is something that has been really fascinating, and I know Shalia and I are going to talk about this too. Um, but she kidnapped me. Actually, Tatiana and Anya, she kidnapped me on the way from a Temple Body Arts to New Orleans to go dance for my friend Bella's birthday. And so I was just off the plane from Costa Rica. She came and picked me up from the airport. We drove 40 minutes to her boat, and I got to go see her living aboard. And I was like, what? This woman who I knew from Burning Man is like, of course, doing this lifestyle where she lives on a boat. And I was like, it's so small, but like, how cool. And I'd never really been in a marina before. And just listening to how she had transformed her life after I think the hurricane destroyed her apartment and her house. Bought a boat. I had been living on it for 7 years and recently just moved back on land, bought another boat, and does epic charters out in Texas. So it's pretty amazing, but I'm not quite sure why this isn't working. But if it doesn't work, we will maybe X out of it and then try it again. But anyway, so I'm really excited. So that is on the docket for April, and we'll get to play with silks and go um, to islands and spin fire, which is something I'm really looking forward to do when I have a boat. And I'm grateful for Shalia to have um, a boat that we get to hop on, because she's been doing it for so long. Well, Shalia, I'm not quite sure about this. I keep accepting your request, and then it's not doing anything. So, but um, let's try it one more time. Will you request one more time, Shalia? Oh my gosh, and Cornelia's here? Wow, the whole TVA crew. um, yeah, it is really exciting, and for me on my end, it's important and inspiring to see captains like Shalia, who are also artists and who give back and who are burners, many they're into radical self-reliance, changing the world through community and art and social experiments, to be switching to lifestyles like the sailboat. I never thought I would be doing this, and it's pretty neat to have a role model who is doing it in so many exciting ways. So I am very, very scared. Um, I will say that there's been a lot of fear frequencies coming up just as I shed so much about like getting to know who I am right now. Um, yeah, who I am, who I want to be, and how I want to live. So that's, it's really, oh my gosh.
Yay! I think I'm here.
Yeah, I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Ah, see.
But it says you turned on the video. I don't know. Can anyone else see Shalia? Just flipping all the buttons right now. Can I hear you, Shalia? Will you say something?
Hi. How
Hi,
are you?
I'm great. How are you? Oh, you can see both?
Okay, great.
Okay, great. I can't see you, but let's just go with this because I don't know. Can you see me on yours, Shalia?
I can see you.
So funny. Okay, well, let's keep going because it worked, and we have some epic humans, some of my Temple Body Art sisters here. So, how are you today?
I'm great. We have beautiful weather down here, so perfect winds. You're coming at the perfect time. I'm so excited to share this experience with you. And there's really absolutely nothing like living aboard. We all have a sailing adventure sometimes here and there and call ourselves sailors. But when you live aboard, you really get a feel for all of the little idiosyncrasies every boat has. And it's a little bit of a life adjustment, but I really wish that this lifestyle would have been promoted in school, you know, growing up. And even today, this lifestyle is classified as like technically homeless. I mean, if you live in an RV or on a boat, it's really kind of tragic that it's not accepted, you know, in mainstream society as a really viable way to live. But I absolutely loved it. And spent 6 years on my boat and I'd be on it now, except that I'm really enjoying taking it out for charters. So I'm glad that I'm able to gift that experience for you. Sorry.
Can't wait. I can't wait. Oh, puppies. We have Tatiana, Weaver of the Wild here, who lived on a catamaran for six months, I believe. It was 6 years, but a long time also. So we have some other live aboard in the thread. So it's pretty cool, huh? For 6 months, and for the Great Barrier Reef. So that's pretty cool.
Talking about.
But so
You know,
I'm so excited to come see you, Shalia. I really can't wait to just get to learn from you. You know, like I was mooning about how inspired you are to have lived this lifestyle, to have jumped in and to inspire other artists and sailors like myself and hopefully other people to follow their dreams, whatever they are, you know, and to look at non-conventional lifestyles no matter what the world says. So thank you.
absolutely. Thank you.
Um, how did you start sailing?
So I got started in Girl Scouts, and I that was the beginning of my volunteer time. And I really think that that's important to support the Scouts because it's a great way to kickstart a lifestyle of giving and learning through volunteering. So it's my Girl Scouts volunteer time that was the beginnings of my reaching out to Burning Man and starting the chapter for Burners Without Borders, which was a lot of fun. But volunteering was really important to me, and in the Girl Scouts we had to I had to hustle a lot of cookies to get to go to Girl Scout camp and learn about sailing. So once a year I got to go to sailing camp in Seabrook, Texas, and experience sailing, and no one in my family had a boat. So there was, you know, no inclination that I could grow up and be a sea captain myself, and but you know, dare to dream. And as a child, that 1 week of sailing camp once a year, it birthed in me the desire to become a master captain, and I have, and I've really enjoyed providing playfulness and fun times at sea and teaching people. I love to be so many times. It's such a blessing to my soul that I've gotten to be someone's first time ever to be on the water, first time to go sailing. Just a couple of days ago, there was a 9-year-old boy, and it was his first time to ever even be on the water on the Gulf of Mexico. So I was just absolutely thrilled to have that happen.
That's amazing to gift
Yeah.
that experience to
Girl
people,
Scout
you
was
know.
a place to start. And then from there, in my 20s, I volunteered with the Sailing Angels organization, and they give veterans and handicapped the chance to go have some time on the water. And that was really instilled in me the desire to keep going forward with this. And I've given so many wonderful times at sea that that's all I want to do for the rest of my life.
I love that. And you now have two boats, and you take people out on charters and share this love of sailing. I was telling people before the video worked about how when you kidnapped me from my flight from Costa Rica to New Orleans and
Yeah,
brought me to your boat. So you definitely planted one of those seeds in me, even though I had no idea what was happening at the time, you know?
that. And I love that you were brave enough to allow someone that, I mean, we really had only met a couple of times, but I feel like camping at Burning Man makes you family instantly. So
Does.
for soul sisters be like for this, but I just really encourage people since that happened that if you feel called to share something with someone, even though it may not make sense to you, just do it. You don't have any idea as to why that might be, but it might just be the seed that they need planted for them to move forward with something in their life that might be easier, more creative, that they would just absolutely love. And so I'm really, really happy that you took this little adventure with me on your layover to Costa Rica. Uh, let me kidnap you for the afternoon and come show you what it was like to live on my boat. And so I'm so excited that you're going to get to spend an entire week experiencing that. And it's going to be great.
It's going to be so good. And to get to spend some more time with you too. It's, yeah, I'm looking forward to it so much. And something else that is, I think, just so incredible about you, Shalia, is that you are a female captain. Like you have multiple captain's licenses, and since moving here to Florida, or I guess since dating my girlfriend Lane, who's in the yachting world, I've learned how like dude oriented the boating world really is, especially where I'm sailfish, like sailfishing land, but also just in general, just like the sailing world and everything. Like there's not that many women in the industry. So I love that you are transforming the industry just by being a woman in it. And I would love to hear more from your perspective about how you see yourself uh, transforming a very male dominated captain industry, especially in
Absolutely.
Texas.
Yes. In Texas, we are very dude oriented, as you said. But it's no secret that, especially in the marine industry, we're perceived as the weaker sex. And that's completely natural because of our physical limitations. But what I would really like everyone to realize is that we're naturally, as women, our divine feminine maternal nature is to make adjustments for our physical limitations. So for example, I would naturally realize when I'm feeling like I'm overpowered by the sails, too much wind in the sails, it's a little stronger than I can handle, I would naturally know to reef in the sails. So bringing it down a notch or two makes all the difference in the world. And so female captains are absolutely every bit as capable as our male counterparts. And there are so many that treat us with respect and support what we're doing. But there still are quite a bit of challenges as far as, we say in the sailing world, we have to prove we're worth our salt. And so a lot of us women have had challenges where we've had to prove we're worth our salt. And an example of that was the man that I bought my boat from. My sailboat is 33 feet, and she's I'm all 5'2", so she's a massive ship in stature. Um, and the man that I bought the boat from, had I been male, would have just high-fived me, congratulated me on being masters of the universe and conquering the seas. And yet, being that I'm a tiny female, he said, "Now, I don't know if I really want to sell you this boat because are you sure you're going to be able to handle this? I mean." He almost acted like he was scared that he was risking my life or and I had to prove and explain to him that I'm every bit as capable and I do have experience. And yeah, there are people that, think I just want to be on a boat and they're not going to take any classes or get an education in it. And they just buy a big boat and try to make the best of it. But that's not my experience. And I'm really thrilled that I've had the chance to learn this from childhood, and to share it is, the greatest legacy.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a crazy story.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I hear it just in sharing that I want to get a sailboat, uh, with my girlfriend. People, like, there's a lot of humans who are like, "Oh, two women on the boat, can you do
Yeah.
that? Like, aren't you going to have like other crew who's going to help you?" And that's really interesting just to hear, especially being intuitive and also very, very knowledgeable from lots of research about like how different gender expressions, different sexes have innate, uh, like we lean towards different geniuses, if
Yeah,
it were, and strengths
absolutely.
and weaknesses. But there's so much to be said for the glorification of one over the other in our culture, and I feel like it's very pervasive, just in the small ways that we're treated, and a lot of times it's framed as like, oh, I just want to take care of you. You're like, I want to make sure you're going to be okay.
Yeah,
Um,
is
but a
is
lot of times it's belittling, you know?
right. There's a fine line between chivalry and belittling. You're absolutely right. And you know what's interesting is that women were actually sailors all along. There are so many interesting stories of female pirates that were, we had to cross dress in order to be accepted at sea. We were thought to be, as women, we were bad luck. And so, but there were a lot of stories about men pirates that were helping the women to kind of hide their femininity, but they were every bit as capable. And so they were respected by a few, but it was kept very quiet and we weren't allowed to be sailors eventually. So, that's for me why I make sure to be ultra femme on the water. I'm wearing my prettiest little swimsuit and playfulness, that thing. Then, I try to go extra girly and have a great time with it because we weren't allowed to be at sea as women. We had to cross dress, which is the craziest thing to think. But yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Mhm.
Um, I love reading stories about femme pirates and sailors, and like in many traditions, women had been like the seafaring humans, would like go out and be the divers and be the water humans, because women, um, going into archetypes, are very, jealous, watery, mutable, as it were, and changeable, and like able to hold a lot and are very flowing, and can hold our attention to so many things at once. And from my sailing experiences last summer and last year, like there has to be so many things you pay attention to. It's the wind, the water, the current, um, the little drafts coming up,
So
the
much,
time, where
yeah.
the wind might be shifting to, how the sails are, how everyone on your boat is feeling. um, like there's just so much to pay attention to and to shift that it takes this really beautiful, open attention and um, full bodied awareness and mindfulness that I personally love. Um,
Right. And I celebrate the maternal feminine. It's just an interesting thing. As soon as anyone gets on the boat, can everyone swim? Is there anyone that's diabetic or has medication needs? These things come more naturally to our our divine nature, and so I really appreciate that about female mariners and the fact that we really love and treasure and support each other. And as soon as any boat leaves the dock, there are lives at stake. It's all fun and games and everything, but it's very serious, and we take that very seriously and support each other and are on the radio talking to each other and make sure everyone's getting back home safely. And so I really am celebrating the fact that we're
you're cutting out a little bit for me. I don't know if it's for anyone else, but I really appreciate the talk about safety and taking care of each other,
yeah,
which so
I don't know.
so beautiful. And I think that is also something that attracts me about the sailing community is that people are really into doing it together as a group.
Right.
Not always a group, but like you're out there to help each other on the water.
Yes. and it's a lot more fun to see people out on the water and kind of wave at each other. And you also can, how we race each other, we kind of tease each other and wave. And there's an occasional mooning sometimes, you know, that it's just all fun. See the other boats on the water and see how the wind is formed in their sails and get a better idea, a feel for the wind in yours. And so it's an opportunity. Well, or boats, you see each other go by and it's just kind of a smile and wave. But sailboats going by, you can see, okay, they're heeling to this degree, and so the wind is shaped in this way in the sails, and you can make adjustments in your own sails and learn just by being out there.
I know sailing in Chicago, there was such a big wind shadow from the city that we would often, you know, like look and see how the other boats were sailing, depending on where they were, like how far they were out. And we would see how their sails were trimmed, how fast they would appear to be going, and what
Right.
direction the wind was coming from, because it would shift so much.
Yeah,
So that would be kind of fun. It's like having that kind of community observation just by,
yeah.
like having so many more boats out there.
Yes, I love that you got to experience sailing in the Windy City. Like that is the epitome of Annapolis. That would be the epitome of sailing training. So I'm glad that you got that. It's so beautiful out on the water there, Lake Michigan.
Yeah, yeah. I'm really grateful too. And I had an amazing time. I took a great crew course and got to go out for like, I think 4 hours, 4 different times and get like really good hands-on training for that. Then I joined a women's boat maintenance crew. So we would work on the boat, repairing the boat, fixing things, just doing safety checks. And then we got to go out every week on that too. And then my friend Kent has a boat that actually matches your boat. And so we get to take that out a lot
Yeah.
and learn. And it's just so beautiful. I wonder if you would want to moon about the wind for a minute, because I feel like in my process as an artist, I've gone through a lot of the different elements. I've done the edible alchemy with the food and the kitchen
Mhm.
witchery and the herbalism and the gardening. I have been really into fire dancing and the element of fire and like my Sagittarian nature of creation and direction and wielding like fire in big events and teaching it. But sailing is a whole new aspect of using wind. I have the silk veils, which I know you love too,
Yes,
and we use them a lot. And you've encouraged me too to play with them more in the wind.
yes.
But how would you moon about the wind as a sailor?
Um, it's funny, you know, the things that we don't realize that we learn in math class growing up. I was not good at math and realized later how important physics really is to a lot of aspects in our lives, but especially due to sailing. And there's so much that can be learned from books, YouTube, watch, you know, learn all the educational editorial things that you can possibly get your hands on. But there's nothing that will train you better than absolutely just being out there because like you said, the wind does shift, and learning to read the currents and watching the wind and seeing, you know, where there might be obstacles. You can tell that there's going to be a section of in the middle of, like, especially here in the Gulf of Mexico, in the middle of just absolutely nowhere, there will be a place where it beaches up, and you've got to be able to figure out, okay, the waves are
Oh,
acting a here. The wind is a little bit different in this little section here. And then it turns out that's just a little piece of an island. And if you don't realize that, then you're going to beach the boat and ground. That's never fun. But we say as sailors, if you've never run aground, then you're just not going out there because it's in the um, I did this photo shoot just a few days ago, and it's the, you know, everyone, if you can't see through the water, you're blessed with beautiful clear water, clear Gulf waters in Florida. But on the Texas side, we've got the muddy Mississippi River, and so our water is murky, so you can't really tell the depth. You really need a depth sounder, or some way to gauge the depth because it fluctuates so much. There, it will be, you know, 50 feet in the ship channel, but then just outside of the channel it will get down to 5 feet. And you know, if you need 6 feet for your fin keel on the bottom of the boat, then you know you've got to be mindful of that as well. So yeah, just the wind is it's such an important element, and there's no better freedom. I will die supporting this, but yeah, it's okay. Have fun in your cars, but um, manipulating the wind to get where you want to go and using the energy of the universe, our that we are blessed with, that traveling by the means of the wind and not hearing an engine. You're hearing only the sounds of the sea and the wind. And I mean, it's just absolute magic. And you never felt more alive than when you have your sails set perfectly and you're just coasting. And I mean, it's just absolutely the best experience. You really feel like the master of the sea and queen of the world. And, it's just the most amazing feeling. Can't wait to share that with you.
I know. I can't wait. And I love how poetic you say you describe that experience because it is, I think it's so similar for me. The first time that I was on a sailboat, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the boating experience I've been wanting my whole life. I was telling people, I was like, yeah, I haven't really been out on boats that much, but I have. I've been on cruises and canoes and, some other boats and catamarans, on like a booze cruise situation. But first time I was actively involved in sailing, I was like, this is what I've been looking for. Um, and my soul didn't realize it, but it's this deep satisfaction of moving with the wind and getting to play with the wind and the water and just really feeling like there's a part of it and you just feel like you're the queen of the water in that moment or just
And not only that, it really could
oneness.
stay. I mean, when you think about how, the price of diesel and gas is always going up, and we might eventually need to come away from using motored engines to get where we're going and go back to the days of traveling, and just knowing skill could save your life today. It could how you travel, and um, happy to see grow. We have people now, who just navigated solo sail unassisted. Uh, 29 years old. She's 5 foot something like we are, just small and absolutely amazing. The, there was series that said she couldn't do it, but the fact that she did, and we have the 16-year-old Jessica Watson that circumnavigated. So women are coming up and really shining out on the water. Out for it.
I think that's so cool. There are a lot of women who are out there shining on the water and there's a lot of uh, maybe I'm tuning into it more, but there's a lot of really fantastic women who are getting back out, and also just people who don't identify as male, just in general. And I think that's really, really beautiful and fantastic because it's something that helps us take our power back, right? Just by doing something people have told us that we can't do, or maybe not even that we can't do it, but just kind of barring the entry for it just by having it be so male dominated. Um, I'm going to like shift a little bit too, to it being radically self-reliant, which is, I mean, more or less, which is a Burning Man principle that you and I are very
Yeah,
familiar with. And like being out there with solar and using the wind, and of course you have an engine just in case, and to get in and off dock and everything. But when you have this this self-reliance, it is so freeing, and I feel like it's really important to unplug in ways
yes,
that we have for Burning Man because it shows me personally how privileged we are to have clean running water all the time, to have power as much as we want to like plug it in, to have um, gas or electric coming out of our stove for heating elements. And when you're building all those systems out in a tiny home on the water, it is so much more apparent as to how all of those systems need to work together to sustain life. And something Lane and I talk about a lot is like wants and needs. What do you want and what do you need? And
yeah,
then how do you put your energy into that? So,
absolutely.
yeah. Um, have you found, I mean, because you lived on your boat for 7 years.
Mhm.
So 7 years? 6 years?
6.5, close to 7. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
there
that's
was an adjustment. And, I say it was my greatest blessing in disguise because, like you mentioned before, it was Hurricane Harvey that was absolutely devastating for Houston and the Galveston County. And that was the birth of my Galveston chapter for Burners Without Borders. And so we did some really successful projects with that. But because it was the third home, I'm from Houston. We're built on a floodplain. It's it's a matter of when, not if, another hurricane comes. So, in preparation for that, we just rebuild and we come together as a community and we bond over helping each other to recover. But after 3 homes as a single mother with just my daughter, she was in junior high at the time, so her junior high and high school experience were on the sailboat with me. And it was the third home that I had rebuilt and started all over, losing like 90% of your things. I don't have an attachment to stuff anymore, but I was just so tired of rebuilding. So I told my daughter, I planned on buying a sailboat and retiring on that and cruising. But if you can if you can stand it, if you hate it, obviously I'll get us another place. But can you try living on the boat with me? And we can afford to travel and we can have lots of fun. We'll take your friends out. And she said, "Okay, Mom, let's be pirates." And that greatest words she could possibly say to me. And so it was an adjustment. I gave her, I would have visitors and they would come up, kind of make fun. I gave her the only privacy, the private room and the V berth and um, the forward berth. I gave her the privacy. We have, 2 rooms, full galley, like bathroom, showers, all of the things that you absolutely need. But for a long time, and a lot of boats you'll find don't have hot water. That's a luxury. That took several years before I had hot water. Um, and little things like the August in summer in Florida and Texas is pretty strong mosquito season. Let's just face that. And so we would just have a running joke like, "Hurry up and get inside, you're letting the mosquitoes in," like just try to have a sense of humor about the things that are inconvenient. But for the most part, I mean, you never slept better than being rocked to sleep on a boat. So that was no adjustment. I slept best I've ever had, and it's fun to cook on a boat. It's just there's things that are more fun to do when you're on a boat.
mm,
I can't wait to see you cook on the boat.
my I can't wait to cook for you on the boat. I love it. I love cooking in adventure settings. It's one of my favorite things to do. um, so before we wrap up, because we've been chatting for like half an hour already, we're so good at this. Um, I just wanted to, because I've been putting out a lot more about the veils and using the wind and kind of like some short veil tips. And I'm wondering if you have any veil tips or tricks for other humans who dance out in the wind a lot, or maybe if people have the opportunity to get on a boat. How do you play with your veil on a boat?
Yeah, I love that you recently did some tutorials on that because it is such a different dynamic. And I remember when I had you custom dye my veils, I also asked for you to make them the most weighted that you've ever weighted because that makes a lot of difference in getting that beautiful swish and flick. But like you've pointed out in your tutorials, and I really encourage everyone to look at that content and your Patreon. I was on the Patreon for a couple of years, just absorbing all of the information that I could get. And little tips would be like holding it with the full stretch of it and not like a loose hold, but holding it off to the side really fully stretched out just gives a beautiful flow. And like you were pointing out to me, it makes sense to turn where you're out, the wind is taking the full veil as a sail and not turning in and trying to fight the wind, but to go with it. And the smallest little movements are the most beautiful shapes. Wind will create the magic. you just stand there and hold it in different ways and it's gorgeous, you know? Uh, you make it look easy, but even simply just holding it in different ways and, you know, above and below and little differences in your wrist flicks make all the difference and it's stunning. Silk is magic, you know?
It really is. I can't wait to play with silk with you on boats. And um, I've been playing with some silk underwater again for some photo and video playing. Um, and I was thinking about silk in the wind too, how you have to wind worship or just really let go of expectations and work with where the wind is and just guide with very subtle movements. But it's like you're letting yourself be the steward of the silk and the wind. And it's almost like I like to get out of my way or
Mhm.
get out of the way of the silk to do its thing and just witness it because it's so incredible. And playing with it underwater recently has been pretty similar because um, there's currents and it has so much going on. So it's just like letting the silk really uh, be alive with the other elements and
I love
letting it do its thing.
worship.
So
The wind worship is the best way to describe it because it just feels inspiring. It feels like you're facilitating, but the wind is the magic and it creates the beautiful flow. And yeah, don't fight it, go with it, and it just feels like it's your best dance partner, you know. That's what I call
true.
Silk, my best dance partner that I ever had, and you gave me that gift, and I loved it so much. I got three of them.
Well, thank you for loving it. I really do make them because I love to share it. It has become a way that I support my life these days too. But I love being able to share a modality that is truly healing and inspiring for so many people. And I know we have a lot of veil humans who've popped on, Marla and Audrey, and gosh, yeah, Tatiana's played with them, and a bunch of flow artists. And I think that when we allow ourselves to surrender to the flow, we can find a lot of healing, which is, I think, also the worshiping, the gratitude, and the getting out of our own way and letting our egos go. So
I'm
I
so
think
glad.
it's a lot of sailing too.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned healing because that's exactly whenever I found you and Burning Man was because my father passed so tragically and suddenly, and I was grieving so very deeply. He was my closest family member and biggest supporter, and I needed an outlet to grieve and process. And the veil gave me a dance partner to move through all of the aching, sort of grieving feeling that we hold in our bodies, and if we don't express that and like expel that energy, we won't heal and grow. And so the silk is definitely a facilitator of healing. I really appreciate that.
I love that so much. Um, I've been doing a lot of silk dancing recently because I feel like I've been reformatting my brain down here with this move down to Florida and just like change and shift in lifestyle. And the silk has been an important way for me to access that healing. And I think in the healing arts or like in the yin spaces, we don't always know what's happening, but we're holding space for whatever to flow to flow.
Mhm.
And I think that is one of the biggest, most important things we can do is just know that we don't know and know that we don't understand what's happening or how it's happening, but know that like hold grief from the passing of a loved one, or holding grief from shedding skins and lives or houses that have burned down or gotten destroyed, but to like wherever you are, to take the time to just flow and move through whatever's coming
Mhm.
to just do that, and I think the veil is a good tool to have something else to focus on besides just the body moving to get the juices and the emotions and the actual protein peptides of emotions moving
Mhm.
out of our muscles to get that like stuck lactic acid and any of
Yes,
those like emotional toxins that get stuck to just let it go.
yes. And you're right. Outside of just moving your body on your own, doing yoga or whatever, I mean, that is good for us to, yeah, get our blood pumping. But the silk makes you feel so beautiful doing it, that you actually will move your body. I will dance more often because I have my silk dance partner. So just the fact that that is such a beautiful flow, it makes you feel beautiful too. And that's a really important dynamic in the healing process. Feel beautiful while you know.
Yeah, I went to a seminar last night on life longevity. It's a church of perpetual life, which is fascinating, very Florida. And I really took away that your thoughts are some of the most important things you can put out there. And so when you feel good, if you can find a practice that helps you feel good, be it sailing or fire spinning or using silk veils and dancing, that allows you to get your body moving and perpetuate those feelings of gratitude and happiness and feeling beautiful in your own skin, your cells actually start healing themselves at a higher frequency,
Right.
um, which is right? It's so wild that we have all the answers inside of us already, you know?
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
have to facilitate.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to dance with you. And on
I
that note,
do.
we
And
should.
um, I find inspiration through childhood, and who didn't want to be grow up and be a pirate or a mermaid someday? And I wanted to be both, and the sea captain that got us there, And so I'm glad that back I realized, hey, I've arrived. Look what happened. But yeah, I just days ago. So I took a belly dance class a few months ago because I needed another dance outlet, to another opportunity to use my silks and share that. And so I shared it at the Houston Hafla, and so the girls were really excited about the weighted veil, and that's like a new concept for us down here. So I'm super excited for you to share that when you get here. But yeah, I had this belly dance vision on water, and my Russian belly dance friend is moving to Florida, and so I thought I need to give her this gift of being on the Texas Gulf side, and now she's on her way to Florida soon. But it was my vision come to life, and no one had done this, and it was absolutely stunning. I'm so happy with the way that it went. So, that was just one little piece of our inspiration. If we actually live spherically and take a deep dive into all of the little areas that we find fascinating or even slightly intriguing, it's amazing what will birth from that energy of creation and how it inspires others. And I don't know when it was that you started making silk veils, but all this time later, people are just discovering it and learning to play and have a good
Yeah, it is. I'm writing that down. Live spherically and deep dive into what intrigues us.
time.
Um, but yeah, I got into dancing with silk veils when I started belly dancing, actually in 2006, um,
Wow.
during a belly dance club at our school, at my art school. And I got really into belly dancing, and I think we did some silk veils. One of my old employers had a silk veil. And then in 2009, when I fell into the Burning Man Chicago scene, I really got into doing flags. And I had bought a piece of silk for a veil, for just a belly dance veil. And then I started making the double flags for like flagging for rave culture. And I just had this moment of inspiration, probably 2010, to weight my belly dance veil and see what happened. And the rest is history.
Wow.
I think I used the weighted veil in a lot of performances, and I just had like two or three for a few of my friends, and then I had made a burlesque performance with it, and then revamped it for my friend's show, and then applied to get into an international festival called the Burlesque Hall of Fame in Vegas. I got into it and I won, and I put the veils on like a national scale. So I started just making them and teaching and selling because it was just really important for me to share that healing art form and something that was so beautiful to me. And so it just kind of ripples out, and I don't really promote it that much besides on these channels. And it's like whoever I encounter, whoever picks it up, and it just ripples out. It's like planting those seeds,
Really,
just embodying it as a lifestyle. So,
and the fact that you share this with so many, and gift time with, you'll bring veils and say, hey, come play with this, and try it, and being that spirit of joyful sharing really does is cyclical, and it will come back to us. And when we have a mindful of, well, no, everything that I'm doing has to make money. Well, no, that's not really the way to live, and that's not how we're blessed and nurtured. So having that spirit of a joyful playfulness and sharing the experience is the best bonding that we can have as humans. And so
Yeah, and I think it's also revolutionary to take things out of the capitalist sphere where we always value our time as money, right? Or like only do things that engage in capitalism. And so it is it is so important to look at and value our time, right? But also value human connection, community building, and sharing, that living spherically, like where you never know whatever you put in, like what you're going to get out of a situation that feeds your soul, because you can't buy happiness.
right,
So,
absolutely right.
oh my gosh, we're gonna hang out for like a week together. I can't wait.
I did. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I think we should sign off because we're nearing a 45-minute mark, and this has been juicy and epic. And yeah, thank you so much.
I love you. I'm so happy to share this with you, and thank you for my veils, your skills at custom dyeing. I mean, the fact that you were able to match my ocean magic veil precisely with the Gulf of Mexico waters on the Texas coast. Wow, I'm so impressed. Everyone needs a custom dye job. I mean, it's so many beautiful dyes that I do recently, but my ocean magic is my favorite, and I love you so much. I'm so happy to see you.
I can't wait either. And I'm going to be bringing a slew of veils for us to play with. So be
Yay!
good. Yes. Okay, so much love. Have a great day with all of your boat chores and boss bitchery, and have a really great weekend too. Thank you all for tuning in.
Love you.
Love you too. Bye.